Again, welcome back to the Journey Podcast. I have a huge tip for all of my business owners that are scaling their business. So these are for people who are making 5, 10K a month and want to get up to that 15, 20K, 30K per month level in their business. Now, if you don't have a business and you're just getting started and you're not at that level yet, listen to this lesson anyway, because it's going to give you some insight on how you could become a better leader for when that time comes. Now, this tip, seriously, it is probably one of the best things. It is the highest leverageable thing that I do in my business on a weekly basis. Now, this tip is going to sound very simple, but most people don't do it. And I get complaints all the time from people who are scaling their businesses. My VAs aren't booking calls. My closers aren't closing deals. My assistant coaches are getting complaints, and they're like, what's going on? And, they say, I trained them, I showed them exactly what to do, and they started off great. But now they're falling apart. They're falling to pieces. They're losing their mojo. I thought, how often are you training them on a weekly basis? And they're like, well, we have like meetings and stuff, but and I said, but how often are you training them on a weekly basis? And said, well, I trained them when they first got started, but okay, but how often are you training them on a weekly basis? And they usually say, I'm not. Right. And so what I see entrepreneurs doing, or business owners doing, is they get too wrapped up in, doing the work. They want to do the work, and they're so used to doing the work that when they put on a team member, they teach the team member how to do the work, and then they do the work together. But while the team member is doing the work over here, the business owner isn't paying attention because they're doing their own work somewhere else. And then when they check out on the team member, they're struggling. Your number one priority should be to train your team. You go from being the business owner and doing the work to being the CEO and leading your team and coaching your team how to do the work. There becomes a switch in your business once you start getting to the point where you're hiring employees and scaling. You go from doing the work to coaching your team. That's the difference. And so something that we do with PTBI is that we have 5 VAs and we have 2 closers. And we have 2 assistant coaches. So we have a growing team. Now, what we do with every single VA is that we review 2 of their conversations every single week with them on a live call and go over feedback and how they can improve their conversations. So that way they can stay top notch in the DMs. So that means 10 conversations every single week that I'm reviewing with my team. Now, the reason, well, actually, before I go into the next reason, the next thing I do with my closers, we have 2 closers on my team. I review a call from each of them every single week. So that's 2 calls that I review live on a call with them every single week. What this helps me do is it helps me stay on top of any red flags that come up in the process, any kind of hiccups or no-nos or things that I don't want to have being done in the process. We're able to correct them. If they're struggling, I can give them feedback and tips in real time without having to wait until they fall apart. And plus, they just stay really, really sharp on their game with call booking and call closing as well. So performance with the team actually goes higher and it increases. I'm telling you, when I started doing this with my team, one of our VAs went from booking 13 calls a month to over 30. It literally doubled her call booking. It was insane. So we do this every single week with each person. You might go, well, that's a lot of time, an hour to review calls, an hour to review conversations. Think of it this way. If you were to do this on your own, you can do DM outreach for 4 hours and book 3 to 5 calls. Say 4 hours, 3 to 5 calls. Or you can spend 1 hour with your VAs and they can go book 10 calls in 8 hours. So you went from spending 4 hours to book 5 calls to booking 10 calls in 1 hour. With your closer, you can go take 5 calls, and let's say that you close 5 deals. It takes you 5 hours to close 5 calls. Or you can sit with your closer for 1 hour, teach them how to close, train them how to close, and they go out and close 5 deals. So that means you're booking 10 calls in 1 hour. You're also closing 5 deals in 1 hour. That's 2 hours of your time. That's nothing. So that's why it's so highly leverageable for you to train your team. So I see coaches, they don't do this. So what I would recommend for you guys to do is if you have a team, Set up weekly meetings in which you're able to train your team on a weekly basis. We do one session of call reviews a week. We do one session of conversation reviews a week. For each of my closers, we record or we break down one of the calls. For each of my DMs, DM outreach VAs, I break down the conversations. So, and then also too, if you have an assistant coach, you want to make sure that you're going over protocols with all of your clients. So you might not be the one doing all the check-ins, but you should be able to see, okay, how are my clients doing? What are the protocols that are being given? Review some check-in responses. Like you want to be on top of it because you don't want your assistant coach to get complaints either. So hope that was helpful, guys. Hope you found valuable in that episode. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.